Ah, no sé qué pasa. Otra vez resulta. Aquí nunca estamos trabajando mucho tanto. Okay, so welcome everyone watching through YouTube, especially those watching the recording. We will officially begin at the 10-minute mark. So if you're watching the recording of this, move ahead to the 10-minute mark, and that's when we will officially get started. Today we will be going through the teachings, a continued reading from Zen Master Empty Cloud, and we'll also be practicing some meditation together. So we'll take about 10 minutes, probably a little bit less than 10 minutes to get settled in, and also to give people time to join us.
Good morning. I just wanted to do my own sound check. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine, Karuna.
All right, so I do. Thank you.
Yeah.
And good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Good afternoon here, but I know for many people it is the afternoon. Just going to make an announcement that we are now live. Also, everyone can say hello to Eduardo and Mickey. I did remember that, but I didn't have the confidence. Then say hello. Eduardo and Mickey are just some travelers on the path who are joining, coming to stay at the temple for a while for an undetermined amount of time. So it's very nice to have them here. Very wonderful people. And the ever-present fire is here as well. Okay, hi Chris and Felonius and Guy. Welcome.
Hey there.
Yeah, glad that you're here. Does anyone have any question before we start, before we begin? Anything to bring up? All right, hi there, BC Tan. Just in time. And my dear friend, what was your name? Joris. Joris. Dankeschön. Joris. So we have a really international group here at the temple. And Rue from Holland. Okay, and of course Abhi from India. Maybe everyone could put in the voice text, you could put what country you are joining from, so we can see how many countries are gathered here together today. Everyone can put down. Inglaterra. I've never heard of Inglaterra before, Jamie, but it sounds like an interesting place. England, yeah. Okay, so we have from the US, India, England, quite a few people from the US, Holland, Germany, and Italy. Sorry to everyone if I turn the camera around and you can be seen by the people all over the world. Okay, great. No one here is wanted by the FBI, hopefully. Okay. All right, so we will start today with some meditation. And it's always good to have a bit of a refresher about our meditation practice and what that is and how we do it. So the first thing is that you want to find a comfortable seated position. And ideally you want to have your two knees on the ground, and you really want to have a solid base for your meditation. So I'll show you an example. If you stretch your legs out straight, okay, and then you bring one leg in all the way, okay, and then you can either just bring the other leg in all the way, but not stacking them on top of each other. And usually you want to have your butt elevated so that your pelvis is forward. Okay, if your pelvis is back like this, then you hunched over, and it's very difficult to sit with stability like that. And if you're flexible, which you two must be flexible, you riding around on bikes all the time, you can take your one leg and you put your foot on your thigh, and then you can bring the other leg out. So this is a half lotus. Yeah, like that, but you need your butt to be supported. So that's how I usually sit, in a half lotus. But we're not all yoga practitioners, so just find a comfortable, stable position. That's what's really most important. Can even be in a lazy boy recliner or something. So our meditation position is our way of putting the body down. We're not chopping wood, we're not carrying water, we're not going anywhere, we're not doing anything. We're not having any kind of sensual experience with the body, but we're putting the body down. And so once we put the body down, once we find our meditation position, we can close our eyes and start to take 2 or 3 deep breaths. Breathing in deeply through the nose and breathing out.
Okay. Beg your pardon, but I lost the video. I'm only seeing connecting dot something on my video.
Okay, maybe it's fixed now. Yeah, might be on your end, Karuna. So you can always watch on YouTube. The YouTube link, if you have some issues with video, should be working fine there. So when we start to take those deep breaths, this is our way of turning the mind around. We're no longer looking outside. We're no longer moving towards some goal in the environment or outside, but we're actually turning the mind around. We start to turn the mind around and look inside. And so as we're taking those initial deep breaths, it's really to bring the mind home to the body, to settle the mind in the body. That is to become more aware of the body sitting here at this moment, and to turn our attention from the outside to the inside. So we start to look into the experience of having a body at this moment. And we can let the breath find a natural, comfortable rhythm. Sometimes we need to experiment with our breathing. So sometimes we breathe a little bit deeper, or we breathe more into our stomach, or we focus on the feeling of the cool air coming in and the warm air going out. However we need to breathe to continue looking inward, to being more and more aware of the body at this moment. To practice meditation properly, we need to be somewhat calm already. If we're having a panic attack, if we are on the run from the police, if our lives are spiraling down into hellfire and confusion, that's not really the ideal time to meditate, let alone to learn how to meditate. So our bodies being somewhat still, our minds being somewhat calm, somewhat settled, we start to pick up our method of meditation. That is our way of going deeper, our way of collecting the mind to be one-pointed. Our way of meditation today, unless you have a personal method that you're more comfortable with, our way of meditation today can be feeling the breath, the effect that the breath has on the body. So it's not so much that we are focusing on the breath as our meditation method. It's more that we are being aware of the effect that breathing has on the body. So it's very much awareness of our body at this moment. And with each breath, being more and more aware of the body as a whole. The body here at this moment, the sensations of the body, we don't want to force our meditation. It's something that is mainly about relaxing, calming. We don't want to put forth too much effort, too much focus in our meditation, but more that we are relaxing our efforts, relaxing our focuses, all of the things that we focus on. And just at this moment to be aware of the body, feeling the effect of the breath on the body. And whenever we get too tense, or we get too caught up in thinking, or when we get too relaxed that we start to fall asleep, it's at that moment that we return to noticing the sensations of the body, being aware of the effect that the breath is having on the body. Instead of relying on our thinking or relying on our judgments, our preferences, during meditation we are just relying on the meditation method. This way of restarting, refreshing, returning back to the present moment. With each breath, with each moment of noticing, of being aware, relaxing and calming any tension, any struggle, any judgment. Simply relaxing and calming body and mind at this moment. When we practice meditation, there is a kind of constant knocking at the door of our mind and our body to give up, to go and do something else, or to quit applying the method. But as we are mostly beginners here, instead of giving up entirely, you can consider to lay down, or to stand up, or to stretch out, and continue staying very close to your way of meditation, your way of relaxing and being totally here in the present moment. These few moments can even be a few seconds of just totally stopping, totally relaxing, totally restarting and refreshing, can totally change the state of our mind at any given moment. That willingness to stop what we are doing, to give up that struggle, that tension, that tightness, and just to stop and practice this breathing and being aware of the body. Practicing meditation as a time with no time. With the goal of no goal. Just this breathing and being aware. Okay, so we will start our reading, our continued study of the teachings of Zen Master Empty Cloud. Last time we left off on not being too overconfident about our stage of enlightenment. Don't be so arrogant. And also the power of following a moral code, a moral discipline, and really sticking to that moral way of living, that ethical way of living, that way of non-harm and skillful action. And also our responsibility, our duty to our spiritual practice, so meditating every day, being generous every day, doing some form of study every day, whatever it is for you. If you worship fire, then it might be making a fire every day, but sticking to that religious duty. that spiritual duty practice. So we are currently going over these four prerequisites, these four kind of necessary practices, requirements to really making progress on the path. The first of which here is excuse me, got a lot of pages to turn here. Understanding the law of causality, understanding the law of cause and effect. These are the four basic requirements of pursuing the spiritual path to an end, to a great development, to awakening. So these requirements are understanding the law of causality, cause and effect, accepting the rules of discipline, accepting your religious duty, your spiritual practice, to consistently stay with that, and also to remember your ethical practices consistently. And then now we're on to our third requirement, and that is to maintain an unshakable faith in the existence of the Buddha self. That is to maintain an unshakable faith in your peace nature, in the peace nature of all beings. So we'll unpack now this third requirement, this unshakable faith in Buddha nature. Okay, so as regards to the third requirement of having a firm belief in one's Buddha self, please know that faith is the mother, the nourishing source of our determination to submit to training and to perform our religious duties. And that's spiritual practices, to perform our spiritual practices. If we seek liberation from the travails of this world, travails are the efforts, the laborious efforts, the difficulties of this world. If we seek liberation from the difficulties of this world, we must have a firm faith in the Buddha's assurance that each living being on earth possesses Tathagata wisdom, and therefore has the potential of attaining Buddhahood. So this Tathagata wisdom is a Buddha wisdom. That is the deepest, most profound, most clear understanding of reality as it is moment to moment. Most of the time our understandings are only our understandings because of privilege, because we have warmth, because our bodies are healthy, because no one is attacking us, because our situation is kind of good. But that understanding will immediately be broken down and less than fruitful, less than realistic if someone chops off our arm, or if we find ourselves in a fire, or if we find ourselves in the freezing cold. That perception about ourselves and the world immediately is not valid anymore. It's just perceptions and ideas about ourselves and reality that we kind of are able to hold on to and maintain because we have a very comfortable situation. But this Tathagata wisdom, this Buddha wisdom that is accessible to all of us, is this wisdom that is non-conditional. It doesn't matter if you get your arm chopped off, it doesn't matter if you burn in the flames. This wisdom is impenetrable. It does not depend on conditions. This perspective, this deeper understanding, does not depend on conditions. So if we seek liberation from the difficulties of this world, if we seek freedom from the difficulties of this world, we must have a firm faith in the Buddha's assurance that each living being on earth possesses Buddha wisdom or enlightenment wisdom, and therefore has the potential of attaining Buddhahood. So it's kind of that we can see this reality as it is. We can connect with it. We can taste it. And having faith in that fact that we can taste it, we can experience it, therefore we can see, we can understand that we have the potential of attaining it. We have the potential of attaining non-attainment. We have the potential of not only understanding enlightenment, but becoming enlightened for ourselves. So what prevents us from realizing this wisdom and attaining this Buddhahood? The answer is that we simply do not have faith in his assurances, in the Buddha's assurances. We prefer to remain in ignorance of this truth, to accept the false as genuine, and to dedicate our lives to satisfying all our foolish cravings. So this is very, very clear. This is very, very, very good. So what prevents us from realizing this enlightened wisdom, this all-powerful, based, chill, deep, 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 ultimate wisdom, and attaining this enlightenment, this freedom from all difficulties, this freedom from all confusions, this freedom from all weakness? What prevents us from realizing this? The answer is that we simply do not have faith in his assurances. We don't have faith in the Buddha's skillful teachings and encouragements. We prefer, rather than to do our very best to act skillfully, to follow the path of awakening, so that we can say our morality, our meditation, and kind of going in accord with the Buddha's wisdom, we prefer, this is why we don't realize this wisdom, why we don't attain Buddhahood right now. Not because it's separate from us, but because we prefer to remain in ignorance of this truth, to accept the false as genuine, and to dedicate our lives to satisfying all our foolish cravings. And we're constantly doing this. Ignorance of the truth is a disease. Now, as the Buddha taught, the Dharma is like a hospital that has many doors. We can open any one of them and enter into a place of cure. But we must have faith in our physicians and in the efficacy of the treatment. If we don't have faith in our physicians, if we don't have faith in doctors, we're not going to go to the doctor's office. So we're not going to have any kind of healing being done. And it's the same for, a modern Western person. If we don't have any faith that there is a skillful way to deal with our suffering, we're not going to take any paths to deal with that suffering, because I tend to meet a lot of people who think that basically, well, life is just always going to basically suck. It's always going to be kind of miserable, but maybe it'll suck a little bit less if I can get some money, or if I can eat a hot dog, or if I can drink beer regularly, then life will suck a little bit less. But actually, we can have this ultimate peace, this transformation of our suffering, but we prefer to remain in ignorance of this truth, to accept the false as genuine, to kind of pretend that the painting that we have on the wall is a real, I don't know, what's a famous painter? Well, this is Italy. What's a famous painter, guys? Eduardo. Who is a famous painter? Italian? No.
Giotto.
Huh?
Giotto.
Giotto?
Giotto.
Giotto. All right, well, y'all might not know about this, but Giotto is a famous Italian painter. And we prefer, looking at our wall, we have a print, like someone sold us a print of Giotto, and we prefer to pretend like that's an actual painting from Giotto. It's not. It's just a farce. It's an illusion. It's not actually a painting from Giotto, right? Giotto. Okay. So we prefer to remain in ignorance of this truth, to accept the false as genuine, and to dedicate our lives to satisfying all our foolish cravings, into recognizing suffering and starting to dedicate our lives to transforming that suffering, to dealing with that suffering. So ignorance of the truth is a disease. Now, as the Buddha taught, the Dharma is like a hospital that has many doors. We can open any one of them and enter into a place of cure. We must have faith in our physicians and in the efficacy of the treatment. And these Dharma doors can be being generous, being kind, being patient, practicing meditation, practicing metta. The Buddha taught that there are 80,000 teachings for 80,000 sicknesses. So, if you can just muster up this little degree of faith that there are skillful teachings, that there are skillful ways to deal with your suffering, then you can start to get involved. And certainly one of these 80,000 doors can be helpful. Now, does it need to be Buddhism? No. But if you don't know anything about Buddhism, then you can try. You can take a look at it. You shouldn't just say, well, I don't believe in religion, I'm going to go eat cake. Eat cake and also look into the religion, look into Buddhism and see if there's some healing there, there's something there. Otherwise, you're just ignorant. Whenever he wanted to illustrate the problems which doubt and lack of faith cause, the Buddha would relate the parable of the physician. He would ask, and this is a very, very famous Buddhist analogy. Suppose you were wounded by a poisoned arrow and a friend brought a physician to help you. Would you say to your friend, "No, no, no, I'm not going to let this fellow touch me until I find out who shot me. I want to know the culprit's name, address, and so forth. That's important, isn't it? And I want to know more about this arrow. Is the tip stone or iron, bone or horn? And what about the wooden shaft? Is it oak or elm or pine? What kind of sinew has been used to secure the tip to the shaft? Is it sinew of an ox, a monkey, or a ruru deer? And what kind of feathers are in the shaft? Are they from a heron or a hawk? And what about the poison that's been used? I want to know what kind it is, and who is this fellow anyway? Are you sure he's a qualified doctor? After all, I don't want a quack to treat me. I think I have a right to know these things, don't you? So please answer my questions, or I will not let the man touch me." "Well," said the Buddha, "before you could get your questions answered to your satisfaction, you would be dead." So, a lot of times we overthink the situation that we're in. We overthink. I can say, I've gotten into the habit here where I'm living of waking up and taking an ice cold shower. And I'll tell you what, the mind is ready to overthink it. This and that and this and that. But if you just take out the arrow, if you just get into the cold shower, your mind adapts, your body adapts very quickly. You don't go into convulsions and have a panic attack. It's cold water. You start to wake up. Your body responds. It knows what to do. So when we get stuck by an arrow, when we get stuck with a suffering, with a difficulty, don't overthink it. Take it out. And if we don't know how to take it out for ourselves, we reach out to someone else and we say, "Hey, can you take this out?" If that person is encouraging you to ask all these questions, then maybe that's not someone who can take out your arrow. And you want to get it out as quick as you can. A lot of times we analyze, we make everything so psychological, so complicated, so convoluted. But it doesn't really need to be that way. If you have a trauma, if you have a self-hatred, well, you need some loving kindness. You need some compassion, you need some care, you need some patience. You don't need to ask, well, why exactly did this happen, and who influenced that person to make it happen, and why didn't it happen this way, and why didn't it happen that way? Why am I the one who has to deal with this? Just take it out. Start taking care of it. Take it out and put on the medicine. So, dear friends, when you find yourself suffering from the ills of the world, trust in the great physician. He has cured millions of others. Which believer has ever perished in his care? Which believer has failed to be restored Which believer has failed to be restored to eternal life and happiness by following his regimen? None. All have benefited, and so will you if you have faith in his methods. So this is encouraging faith. This isn't encouraging you to believe in, that Buddha is the next Jesus, or that Buddha is Jesus for the 21st century. This is encouraging you to have faith. And if you have this deep kind of faith in the possibility of ending suffering, and the Buddha being the representation of that, and all these different teachings, these different approaches, it's going to enable you to get involved in doing that. It's going to enable you to go to the doctor. And I often say this to people, it might not be Buddhism for you, it might be Christianity, it might be Islam, it might be literally going to the doctor, having faith to go to the doctor, but it has to be something. It can't just be entertainment. Entertainment is not going to solve the deeper sufferings that we have. We're just distracting ourselves. And it can be very nice to have this kind of faith and belief in someone. And the Buddha is ideal because the Buddha is a statue. So the statue is not going to rip you off or say mean things to you. So that statue represents the Buddha, and you can look at those teachings. But to have great faith in someone or something to where you can put your ego down and you can just listen, or you can just be healed. It's like when you go to see a doctor, a physician. If you get an arrow stuck in you, you aren't going to the hospital and, holding open the skin or getting involved in an operation. You're just laying there and you're letting the operation be done. So whatever can help us to get ourselves out of the way can be a very helpful technique to dealing with this overly complicated self. But of course, it's not in every situation that you just want to say, hey, you're wearing a robe, be my master, you have faith in them. But you look into it, you check into it, and then if you're comfortable to have that faith, or the Buddhist statue representing the Buddhist teachings, then it's a very workable way to start not taking yourself so seriously. Faith is a kind of skill that you can develop. If, for example, you wish to make bean curd, you begin by boiling and grinding the soybeans, and then you add a solution of gypsum powder or lemon juice to the boiled beans. We should make bean curd here, right? Yeah. Okay? And we have to have faith to do it. You know that you can stand there, if you wish, and watch the curds form. You have faith in your method because it always works. Thus, you gain the feeling of certainty. Of course, the first time that you made bean curd, assuming that you were completely unfamiliar with its production, you may have lacked faith in the method. You might have been filled with doubt that gypsum or lemon water would cause the boiled beans to form curds. But once you succeeded and saw with your own eyes that the recipe was correct and that the procedure worked, you accepted without reservation the prescribed method. Your faith in the method was established. Okay, so this is an even more direct teaching here. It doesn't need to be faith in a person, it can be faith in the method. It can be faith in the methodology of the doctor. okay, in the scientific approach of the doctor. It doesn't need to be in a particular person, but we tend to be very social people, so we want to have relationships with others. We want to have a relationship with a teacher, relationship with the Buddha, but it's actually the method. You have to have faith in the meditation method, and it can take a while to develop that, especially if you're dealing with a lot of complex suffering. You know, when you first hear like a teaching on a metta, on loving kindness practice, saying to yourself, may I be happy, may I be at peace, may I be safe. At first, you might have no faith that that works, and then you won't try it. You won't apply it, you won't experiment with it, and so you'll never get a result to have that confidence. But if you try it, if you have that little bit of faith to try it, then you develop more faith because there's a clear result to your practice. And over time, you can develop this kind of great faith, like, for sure this works. In one way or another it works, you've just got to practice it. So the faith in that way is very important. But it's not so much belief. And I couldn't say, I think faith is more that you try it, and you're willing to try it, and you experience it. Where belief is you just believe it. You just take it, oh, that's true. But faith it has more of an involvement. You have to practice it to actually develop that faith. Therefore, we must all have faith that we each have a Buddha nature, and that we can encounter this Buddha nature if we diligently follow a proper Dharma path. I would say as well we could translate this to a healing nature. We all have a nature of healing inside of us, especially for our mind, for our suffering. And if we have a faith that there is this capacity to heal, to enlighten, to refresh, then we certainly can encounter this healing nature, this Buddha nature, if we diligently follow a proper Dharma path. If we are afraid, we should also remember Master Yongjia's words recorded in his Song of Enlightenment. In the Tathagata's real world, in the Buddha's real world, in the Enlightenment mind's real world, neither egos, rules, nor hells exist. No samsaric evils may be found there. If I'm lying, you can pull my tongue out and stuff my mouth with sand, and leave it that way throughout eternity. No one ever pulled Master Yongjia's tongue out. Okay, so we'll leave our reading to that for today, and we will practice some more meditation, letting the teaching sink in here. Well, does anyone have a question or something to bring up about what we went over today? Anyone have a thought or a comment? Okay, so we can all take a moment to adjust our posture if we feel we need to. Make sure that we're comfortable. Meditation is not a masochistic endeavor, so we're not working to put ourselves through pain, or maybe that's sadistic, a little bit of both. So make sure that you're comfortable. And we will start our meditation practice with the sound of the bell, 3 sounds of the bell, and then when we hear the bell again, that will be the end of our time together. Well, after meditation is a particularly good time to move slowly, and also to do self-massage. You can do a full body self-massage if you like, but especially we can massage our face and our head. So just a few minutes before we officially end, would anyone like to share their experience or to ask a question?
Yeah, even if I was trying to don't think so much, since I'm not really used to,
What do you say?
since I'm not, I was trying to don't think so much about things in general
Yeah.
while I was meditating. But yeah, I couldn't stop. So I was always thinking different kind of stuff as a like random stuff. Something that happened yesterday, that is happening now, today. And yes, I wonder how concretely do I stop this
Okay.
river of thoughts.
Okay. How do I stop thinking?
Yeah, like if there is a like exercise or a way to start to stop.
So it's maybe I shouldn't say like this, but if you want to stop thinking, then find a guillotine. A natural thing that we as human beings do. You know, guillotine.
No.
Italian must know guillotine.
Guillotine, yes.
That's a tradition, Italian tradition, right?
French tradition.
French tradition, okay. So it's a normal that a human being, the brain, the mind, produce thought.
Mm-hmm.
So when we practice meditation, there's going to be thought, going to be many thought. If we try to fight with a thought or we try to stop a thought, it's just going to make a problem.
Yeah.
So when we do meditation, it's better to think that we are being with the body, being with the mind. We are being with, giving our full attention to thoughts as they are coming up and going away.
Mm-hmm.
All right? But if we don't have a meditation method, a clear method about what we're doing, then we get lost in the thoughts. We go from noticing thoughts, noticing thinking, being aware of thinking, to participating in thinking. So we don't want to participate in thinking when we are meditating. We're just participating in the meditation method.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So focusing on your breath, the feeling of your breath in your nose, right here, or the feeling of the breath in your stomach, or the feeling of your body. There are many meditation methods, but when you first start getting into meditation, meditation method is not going to help so much. you have to see if you're really willing to do it. You have to have that faith, that willingness to get involved, to practice. And then once you find out that, oh, I want to do meditation. I can remember for me, I went and stayed at a meditation center back when I first got started, when I was 20-year old. And there I am trapped. I couldn't get out. I couldn't go anywhere. So they give me a meditation method, and I trapped inside there. So I have to use the meditation method. I have to, find out what it's like. But for a normal person, it's up to you if you want to meditate or not. And a meditation method isn't really going to help you decide if you want to meditate or not. So you keep at it and keep trying, and the simple idea of being aware of your body, being aware of your breath, being aware of the mind, but not getting stuck or caught in that net of thinking. Then you will see over time. But basically we notice the thinking, and then we return back to the meditation method. The feeling of the breath, the feeling of the body, the feeling of pain. Can be pain in your back. So be aware of your body and don't get lost in thinking. Okay? Don't try to stop thinking, because thinking happens normally.
Okay.
It's just like trying to stop your heart beating or stopping your breath. Eventually, yeah, your heart will stop beating, your breath will stop, but you don't have to make a fight to do that. Same with your thinking. Yeah, it will stop, sure, but you don't need to try and force it to stop. You can't. It's not possible. That's a very common idea that people have about meditation, and it keeps them from practicing it, that meditation is to stop your thinking. Sometime it might stop, but it's going to start again, so, why are you so focused on that? We want to become a friend with our mind before we abandon our thinking. Become a friend with our thinking before we abandon it. And we become a friend by being aware of it, giving our full attention to where that thinking is coming from. That's our body and mind. Think how quickly your thoughts will change if your arm is chopped off or you put your hand in the fire. That'll stop your thinking for sure, right? But we're not trying to put our hand in the fire. So just being aware of your thinking, aware of your body. Definitely focus on being aware of your body. And even if you feel a painful sensation, it's okay. It's not a big problem to feel a painful experience in the body, because actually it's very normal that the body has pain. You know how when I take a cold shower in the morning, ice cold, I think of how vulnerable the body is. You just bump up on something, opened up. Your skin is so thin, you're just like a balloon. So for some reason the shower made me think of the vulnerability of the body. So be willing to give your full attention to the body, even if there's some pain there, and just to be aware, to notice, but don't get tense, don't get tight, don't get into a struggle, just relaxing and being aware. And it's not a race. We're not going for some end goal. We're just practicing to be aware, to be awake at this moment. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Anyone else have something to share or a question? How about Felonius? You looking very questioning there. You have something?
Yeah, I was wanting to just ask about. Well, it's not really a question. I think it's, more sharing
Great.
my experience. And it was, I think a lot of the time, after starting meditation, sort of halfway through, my awareness expands beyond the breath and to general sensations, and to other feelings that are the feeling of my heartbeat, an awareness of my face, my body, how it feels, my field of vision. vision behind my like closed eyes. And it feels like all those kind of things are constantly like changing, and shifting, and even like thoughts as well that like pop into my mind and go, like noticing that as well. And I feel like sometimes I can hold on to that awareness of all those things at once, but it's only for like a short time. But it's like I'm not sure if that's I'm not sure if holding on to that sort of like more expanded awareness comes with more practice or not. But yeah, sorry, I just wanted to share that.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. Very appreciated. And what came to my mind very strongly during your sharing is awareness of the body as a whole is very good. To be aware of the body as a whole, and any sensations or any thoughts that coming up in this whole body awareness and going away within that as well. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you, Felonius.
Thank you again.
Anyone else? Francie, you want to share something? Okay. So then, we will just chant together 3 sadhus. We give ourselves on the pat on the back with this chanting of sadhu. It's a Buddhist word, a very traditional Buddhist word. And also just a chanting together, it can be very nice. So this word means well done, good, excellent. We appreciating the wholesomeness and the skillfulness of our activity together. We listen to some Dharma teachings, we practice a meditation, and we practice together with the fellow practitioners. Okay? So bringing our hands together as a sincerity, we can say sadhu together 3 times. Sadhu. Okay, thank you for joining. We will have another session in about 5 hours. It'll be 8 p.m. in Italy and 2 p.m. in New York. So see you again at that time that would be more meditation, a little bit more deeper meditation together. Okay? Thank you for joining.
Bye.
Yeah, take care. See you soon.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we meet back here at 8 o'clock if you like, and I think we have a meeting at 6 o'clock, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.